Revelation 20:6. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. Blessed means being favored of God, and this results in true inner happiness. This Greek word for holy means one who is set apart by God for a purpose. Therefore blessed and holy is he who has part in the first resurrection. The term resurrection refers to receiving bodies. The first resurrection belongs to those who reign with Yeshua. On such the second death hath no power. The second death refers to being thrown into the lake of fire, hell, after they are judged at the great white throne of God. Therefore, the second death will have no authority over the saints. The saints have received immortal bodies. They shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. These saints will be priests of God and of the Messiah. Priests are those who connect people with God. They will reign with Yeshua. Yeshua will reign for 1,000 years, with rod of iron, from Jerusalem. Side note, first 45 days of Yeshua's 1,000 reign clean up the earth from the beast thrown into the lake of fire until everything is put into place. 1,335 to 1,290 days. This will include, the birds and the wild animals will continue to eat up the flesh of those who gathered against Yeshua at Armageddon. The construction of new temple per the parameters of Ezekiel. This will be where the Lord's throne will be, the construction of the new city Jerusalem, and the establishment of the borders of Israel. And in that day living waters will flow from Jerusalem, half of it towards the eastern sea and the other half to the western sea. It will continue in summer and winter. And Yeshua arrives in his glory and starts to reign. Start of the millennium reign. Believers refers to those who have surrendered their lives to Yeshua. Unbelievers have not. There are 4 groups of people who will be judged by Yeshua. 1. Yeshua will have his angels gather all those unbelievers on earth, who were his enemies, and who are helping the beast, in order to slaughter them. Those believers who hurt other believers and lived for themselves will also be gathered. They will be cut into 2 pieces and have the same judgment as Yeshua's enemies. The rest of the people who are alive on earth will be gathered before Yeshua, and he will separate them into 2 groups, sheep and goats. 2. Sheep, those believers in Yeshua, who didn't take the mark of the beast, yet made it through the 7-year tribulation period in their mortal bodies, will enter the beautiful millennium, the joy of the Lord. They will still be able to have children. All will live to a full age of 100 to 120 years. They will remain dead and will be judged at the great white throne at the end of the millennium reign of Christ. This includes those believers whom the Lord warned to get out of Babylon before its destruction during the last 3.5 years. The only way for all these people, sheep, to ensure they are part of the 1,000-year reign of Christ, is for them to give themselves up beforehand to the beast. The beast will torture them in order to take the mark of the beast, and then ultimately behead them before the marriage supper of the saints in heaven. This is during the last 3.5 years of the 7-year world tribulation period. When they are beheaded, they will get their immortal bodies in heaven at the marriage supper and come with Christ to reign on earth. 3. Goats, people and those believers in name only, but only focused on themselves. They didn't help true believers in Yeshua. They will be either killed or isolated until their death. Their end will be the lake of fire after the great white throne. Anyone who took the mark of the beast, believer or non-believer, would be erased from the book of life. They will either be killed or isolated, and their end is guaranteed. After the great white throne, they will be thrown into the lake of fire. 4. Believers who had earlier received immortal bodies at the marriage supper have already been judged at the judgment seat of Christ. This judgment happens before the destruction of the beast. These believers will pass judgment, govern on those who made it through the 7-year world tribulation period. During the 1,000-year reign of Yeshua, those who dwell in the cities of Israel will start gathering and burning the weapons. They will not need any other wood for 7 years. The house of Israel will bury the dead beast and his army, and this will last for 7 months. Yeshua will reign over all for 1,000 years, with a rod of iron, from Jerusalem. The animals will act differently. Lions will not eat flesh but straw, wolves will dwell with the lambs, etc. Believers with immortal bodies, resurrected bodies, will never die. They will reign with Christ. He will make them kings of the earth to help others. The saints will not need any sacrifices, for Yeshua is their eternal sacrifice. They will also be priests of God and of the Messiah, helping people connect with God and obey Him. People, Lord's sheep, will be unable to accept Yeshua as Lord and Savior by faith because they can see Him. Therefore, during their time on earth, animal sacrifices will be required to cover their sins. It will not get rid of their sin. The Levites, specifically the lineage of Zadok, will be the only ones who can offer the sacrifices for them in Jerusalem. Ezekiel will give the young bullock to the priest for a sin offering. When the people die, it is possible that they will not go to a place called Hades or death, but a place called the sea, where they will remain until judgment at the great white throne. All will need to go to Jerusalem to worship Yeshua and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. If they don't, they will not receive rain on their land. The serious consequences for not going to Jerusalem is repeated 5 times. People will have children and their children will be allowed freedom in the 1,000 years. Their children will reach a minimum age of 100 years old before they can die. Yeshua has set up His kingdom perfectly and has already removed the goats, those who have the mark. However, some people still have the evil ideology of rebellion against Yeshua, which was previously sown by Satan, yet some are still choosing to hold on to it. Free will. They will impart it to their children. End of the 1,000-year reign of Yeshua. Satan is released for a short time at the end of the 1,000 years, and he will incite more people to rebel and will surround the saints and Jerusalem. There will be so many rebellious people that will be like the sand of the sea. Fire will come down from God, consume them, and Satan will be cast into the lake of fire. Yeshua will send His angels to gather those who did not participate, but were rebellious, to be thrown into the lake of fire. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Revelation 20:7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
When the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Satan, who is bound in the bottomless pit with chains, will be loosed after 1,000 years for a little season, to gather and expose the hearts of those who are unrighteous and ungrateful toward Yeshua.
Revelation 20:8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
Shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth. Directly after Satan's release, he goes out to deceive the nations across the world. The nations are where the wind comes from east, west, north, and south. Gog and Magog. The beast who had ruled the world during the 7-year world tribulation period was thrown into the lake of fire. He was also known as Gog. There is a group of people who still follow the ideology of Gog during the 1,000-year reign of Yeshua, like the Nazis today. Magog is a region, the northern nations of Japheth. Josephus refers to Magog as the Scythians, and Gog as their leader. Gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Satan will go across the world, and to those of Gog and Magog to deceive and incite them to do what they always wanted to but didn't have the courage to do, fight against Yeshua and the saints. Satan had sown this ideology in the people before he was locked up, and now it is bearing fruit in the form of weeds. The gathering is so huge that the number is uncountable. It is as the sand of the sea.
Revelation 20:9. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them.
They went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed. Those who were encouraged and deceived by Satan come against Yeshua and the saints. They will spread themselves over the earth as in ranks and encircle the locations they want, camp of the saints and Jerusalem, as when the Chaldeans took possession of lands that were not theirs. The camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. The camp of the saints is where Yeshua reigns. This includes Jerusalem, the beloved city and the surrounding area. Fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them. Fire comes down from God and devours all those who have encircled the camp of the saints and the beloved city. Side note, then the angels will gather those who sin and rebel, those who are of Satan, and cast them directly into the lake of fire, where the beast and the false prophet are. Therefore, they will not be judged at the great white throne of God but will directly experience the judgment of the second death.
Revelation 20:10 And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
Devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone. The devil who deceived people to rebel against God was cast into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is also known as Gehenna, hell, in Greek. This place was originally designed for the devil and his angels. Lake of fire burns with brimstone. Brimstone, sulfur, yellow, is used when judging the wicked. Side note, Satan, the beast and false prophet, possibly the fallen angels and those who came against Yeshua during his 1,000-year reign will all be in the lake of fire. The destruction caused by the lake of fire is known as the second death. Where the beast and the false prophet are. The beast and the false prophet were cast alive into the lake of fire at the end of the 7-year world tribulation period. Shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. The devil will be tormented forever. The Greek word forever and ever literally means into the ages of the ages has been translated and means forever and ever, perpetuation of forever. Most times in scripture it refers to God, who lives forever and ever. However, there are a few times where this perpetuation of forever refers to the smoke of torment of those who take the mark of the beast and the destruction of Babylon. Another reference is where the devil, beast and false prophet will be tormented forever and ever.